Hi, Pete Moore, Gunmart TV. Practical shotgun. I can trace my history with it back to the early 1980s. I was one of a group of about 50, 60 people that went to the very first event in the UK at Park Farm in Colchester, back in Military Nick. Some of you know that place. Using steel plates, sort of large, small, standard exercises, jungle runs, all the fun things, and everybody had a massively good time. In fact, a friend of mine described it as the most fun he's ever had with his clothes on. I tend to agree. Back then, the pump was the king, the 870 Remington or the Mossberg Slugster, and there was a few other guns as well. And that's when I saw my first Benelli, little 20-inch full-length magazine tube, iron-sighted gun. I thought, oh, that's a fun-looking thing. Never heard of it. We've all heard of Benelli now, the M1 and the M2, become very popular guns with gamekeepers and also people that shoot practical style shotgun. What I have here is a Breda B12i. And like the Benelli, it's recoil operated. You can have issues with light loads, or if you don't hold the gun steady enough. The bolt is locked against the pressure of the cartridge in the barrel, and then as the load moves up the barrel and clears the barrel, the inertia of the bolt and the bolt carrier is overcome by the recoil of the gun, and that's what makes it work. So light loads can make it short stroke, and it's just a matter of finding what ammunition the gun likes. Some people say that Breda once owned Benelli, and Breda designed the recoil system, and then Benelli, I think, were eventually bought by Beretta. The Benelli became sort of the force majeure in recoil operated guns. I've been banging a good few rounds for this of various types. I'm really starting to like the Breda as well. And this one, as we shall see, has certain extended controls and features, which is very good for action practical shooting. Starting with the safety catch, it's a cross bolt, pushes right to left to fire, reverses for safe. Trigger is smooth, mid-width blade, nicely curved, brakes about 4.5–5 pounds, good. Trigger guard is quite large for a glove finger and also like a polymer. Features we love to see on action type practical guns. A slotted shell lifter, as that just helps to, if there's any sort of stoppage or a shell jumps back for whatever reason, you can get something in it like a knife blade and push it out. Also, the action is cut away, as you can see here. A little bit this side, but massively this side. And it's done for quad loading, which is using a special rig. The shooter can pull out 4 rounds, literally 2 stacks on 2, and slide 2 in and then 2 more in. And it's a very quick way of doing things. And these days, everybody seems to be quad loading. Magazine follower is like a high-vis red, nice. Equally important is a large cocking handle. That's a nice bit of metal to get onto. Equally so, you have a very big bolt release. Just press that, wham, and there she is. This catch here, which doubles up as a magazine release. So what you can do, if your magazine's full, you can jack around onto the shell lifter just by pressing it, and that's for the loading process. Also, when the gun is empty and you want to lock it back and hold it, this doubles up as like a hold open catch as well. The butt is typically American. It's got a low comb, quite a long angled pistol grip, and in the case of the B12i, there's a rubber insert on the comb, which is probably just for a little bit of comfort. The recoil pad is quite thick, and from what I've done so far with it, it gives a good degree of protection. Checkering's impressed, and you can get shims to alter cast and toe and heel on the gun if you need to. Breda also include a single sling swivel at the rear, but on the 4+1 gun, which is how it comes out the box, there is a sling swivel in the end cap. Obviously matches, unlike the Benelli M1 and M2, the actual length is longer, so if you've got long arms, then you haven't got such a cramped position. But it's well made, it's got a slight bulge at the bottom, fills the hand well, there's like an angled up finger groove here for a good grip, no complaints at all. Barrel from the box is 24 inches. You can see it comes with a medium height vent rib, and at the front for register is an LPA red bead, all very well and good, and it's a multi-choke as well. So capacity from the box is 4+1, but any Benelli magazine system extension will fit the Breda, because they are very similar guns. It's pretty obvious to see. What I do like about the fact is that this gun has a magazine clamp that clamps the barrel. Truth of it is, these long mag tubes are almost essential for practical shooting, and they are quite fragile. Good example that the Mossberg 914 Mikolek shotgun we looked at some time ago, great gun, has an extension mag, but it doesn't have a barrel clamp, and if you're running around the woods or whatever, you can easily clamp the mag tube, and they are quite fragile without a stabilizing clamp on them. Another thing, and this is not about the Breda, it's about just about every practical semi that has an extended mag tube. Say the gun has a 4+1 capacity, so the actual magazine that's attached to the receiver stops about there, and this is just screwed and clamped on, as you can see. Firing stress and shock will cause anything screwed on to unscrew. What happens, I've noticed with a lot of mag tubes, more on semis and pumps, is that the mag tube gets loose and it screws out maybe a turn or so, but what it does, it causes a slight gap between the end of the gun mounted tube and the beginning of the extension tube, and that gap is always big enough for a shell rim to fall into, and sometimes you can poke 4 rounds in a gun and you can't get the 5th in, you can't work out why. So the trick is, before shooting a competition, wind that mag tube in good and tight, then wind up the barrel clamp good and tight. There are 2 ways you can ready the Breda for shooting, which is unusual. Check the safety catches on, drop the first round of the action, press the button, chamber's loaded. Then just put the rounds in until it's full. The gun will fire and eventually the last round will lock open. The second way requires the bolt shut. Safety catch again, press the bolt release, and you're there. Then just fill the mag up, and now if you try to cock it, absolutely nothing happens. So what you do, you press up on the catch. If you look, you can see the round's been released. Just a quick show on the way to unload the magazine tube. So you finish shooting. This is the hold open catch. What you can do with it, you can use it as a opening catch. If you watch, I'll just push the shell lifter down. You pull back on that, round comes out, round comes out, round comes out. It's a good way of emptying the gun without any real problems. Okay, so what do I think of this Breda B12i? I've got to say, I've tested a few sort of semi-customs or competition style guns before. Overall, I like it. I like the fact it comes with a 24-inch barrel out the box, and that's as short as you can get it to be section 1. Being a multi-choke, you can muck around your chokes and your ammunition. It's really all good. It looks good in black. That nice sort of rubberized type polymer forend and butt, offer a lot of grip. So it's got a typical low comb of the semi-auto. This cutaway is useful without a shadow of a doubt for quad loading, or even not. But the more access to the loading port is fine by me. Love the big cocking handle. Love the big bolt release, which is very useful. The only thing I did find, because it's so big, without realising, you can pick the gun up and do that. It's very easy. You've really got to think about it. The only thing, it's not I don't like it, I think it's a bit superfluous, is this bolt hold open and shell release thing. How it's there, and if that's how you want to do it, that's how you want to do it. Wish they had a bigger safety catch. It's certainly marginally bigger than the standard crossbolt safety. And they put a little triangular pellet to that side, but it's not that big, much bigger. And on a gun like this, when you've got a nice cocking handle, a nice big shell release, then I think that should be bigger. Equally so, I'd like to see them include a rail in the package. You may not want it, but it's there if you do. Say the gun comes 4+1, so you have to buy an extension tube anyway, but Benelli tubes fit. It would be nice if you could get a band with a sling swivel, which I think you can, because I just think that a sling or a shot, or any firearm for that matter, any long gun, is very, very useful. But overall, I think they're about £1,300, so they're not cheap, but they're not mega expensive compared to some. And I would not be unhappy with this if I was a younger man and shot practical on one of the semi. This, I actually think, looking at the two brands, I think this I would get over the Benelli, because the slightly longer forend is very nice. I don't know, I just think it is. But there you go. Overall, a nice piece. I hope you enjoyed the review. It was quite good fun shooting it, so live into empty. So, take care, good shooting, and as usual, pmord@shootingsports@gmail.com if you want to talk about anything or if I get anything in. So, be good.